Biden's border buddies, Alejandro Mayorkas and Javier Becerra, facing the wrath of lawmakers today, where they had the opportunity to spew a series of lies to Congress and the American people.
So would you say, having been asked this over and over again, that the United States, the President of the United States, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and all of the hardworking men and women at the border have operational control or have a form of presence, that they are aware of what's going on in the border and that they're working to secure the border every single day?
As we define that term, Congresswoman, we do.
Last time you were here, I told you that my constituents consider you a traitor. Today, I'd like to explain why they believe this.
Encounters were up 5 times. Removals are down by 75%. How do you account for this?
Congressman, a few points. Number one, our approach of expanding lawful pathways for people to reach the border and delivering consequences for those who arrive at our border irregularly is working.
And things did not go much better for HHS Secretary Becerra when asked about the growing number of unaccompanied migrant children in the country.
We do a thorough vetting process of any sponsor.
Do you, yes or no, 100% of the UC sponsors, sir, do you inspect the homes of the unaccompanied children proposed sponsors?
We will often do home studies of...
Well, I guess that's a no.
For 3 years, we've been listening to the Biden administration tell us that the border is closed. But our next guest says elites love open borders because lawless immigration doesn't hit them, doesn't hurt them. Douglas Murray, senior fellow at the National Review Institute, author of the book, The War on the West, and a Fox News contributor. He joins us now. Discuss.
Well, yes. I mean, I wrote this in my New York Post column the other day, which that there's a term called luxury beliefs that a young social anthropologist called Rob Henderson came up with a few years ago. I love this phrase. I think it should be better known. A luxury belief is, it follows the following idea. In recent years, it's not become that nice for rich people to boast about their wealth. They're kind of aware, particularly since 2008, that if you go around saying, I've got this flashy car, this flashy home, this flashy clothes, people don't love you for it always. They're a little bit bitter, a bit resentful. But the elites have discovered there's something else they can do to still show their superior social status, and that is to have luxury beliefs. Beliefs that nobody who's an ordinary, hard-working American could possibly hold or defend, but which these people hold because they have no consequences in their world. And I say in this piece, the most telling example of a luxury belief is the idea that we can have an open border at the southern border. Because, yes, it can make you look great if you're Susan Sarandon. It can make you look like a great humanitarian. But you're not the person paying the costs. The American taxpayer is the one left with the costs.
It's so true, but also the fact that they can sit in front of the American people and lie to our faces, Mayorkas, saying we have operational control as we define it, whatever the hell that means, but also that they're trying to shut down the Texas floating border so the border's open and more people can come in.
Look, I mean, to my mind, this is primarily an issue that the southern states are facing. It's the border states, it's Arizona, it's Texas that have been buckling under the strain. But just think of the city that we're in tonight. Think of New York. It's estimated that the illegal migrants who have arrived in New York to date, which is not that large a number compared to the people arriving in Texas, are going to cost New York State $10 billion in the next year. $10 billion. So, look at the budget projections for this city. We've got a $10 billion budget deficit expected by 2025. Does anyone want to do that math? Does anyone want to add that up? This city is paying $8 million a day just in hotel fees for illegal migrants. So, as I say, this is the perfect example of a luxury belief. You can talk about, love is love, nobody is illegal and all of that, but it's the taxpayers who are picking up the bill. And at some point, it is unsustainable.
Well, we were looking at Mayorkas. He's the walking embodiment of the fascist control of language. Yeah. You control reality and thought.
If you can't control the border, you control language.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Exactly. So, I love this story. Former Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage was dropped by his bank for his conservative views and ties to former President Trump. And it even led to the bank's CEO resigning. This is Coots
Yes.
which is part of NatWest.
Yes.
It's a gigantic scandal in Great Britain.
Coutts, among other things, has been the bank of the royal family. You have to have a lot of money to bank with Coutts. It's not everyone is able to do so. But Coutts is in turn owned by NatWest, a much bigger bank. And NatWest, by the way, is about 40% owned by the taxpayer. So that's of some interest. Nigel Farage, viewers might remember, is one of the people who led the Brexit campaign in 2016. He happened also to be friends with Donald Trump and one of the rare defenders of President Trump in the UK. He, last month, revealed that he had been told by Coutts that he was no longer allowed a bank account with them. He also went to a number of other banks in the UK, and they wouldn't give him an account either. Now, you and I know, we've discussed this in relation to America and Canada. If you're debanked in this age, this cashless age, you are effectively dead as a person. You cannot operate in society. So Nigel Farage revealed this. NatWest, Coutts, the CEO, briefed out that in fact this was not because of his political views, it was because he didn't have enough money in his account. That turned out to be flat out wrong. We now know the facts. He was debanked because of his political views, and now, a rare win, the CEO has had to resign.
But, you know, this is a wave of the future. You see, to your point, the power of banking. If you can't bank in America, or your business and you can't bank, you're out on the street in a cashless society. And liberals understand the power of that, and now they're going to try to use it.
But the great thing about this story, I think that's why Dagan likes it as much as I do, the great thing about this story is that for once, somebody who is practicing stupid, woke capital has found out there's a price to pay, and the price was her job.
She talked about his bank account with a BBC reporter.
Yes, and she lied about it. She lied about it. She broke client confidentiality, lied about it to the national broadcaster, who themselves relayed it, and now she's out of a job. I say this is a very good lesson. If you go woke, we always say you go broke. Also, if you go woke, you might just lose your nice job as CEO.
So Nigel Farage isn't out on the street, but the CEO is.
There's a beautiful poetry.
I do this thing with my foot where it's like you're putting out a cigarette butt. It's like, that's how I celebrate these sadly rare moments of justice.
It's a rare one, but we should savor it.
Yes, we should.
Douglas Murray, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Great to see you both.
No one I would rather savor it with.